Action Comics 1040, and this, of course, is Philip Kennedy Johnson writing with Riccardo Federici on the art. And I mean, so some runs are special, and they feel special when you're in them. And I don't think anything about this issue takes away the special feeling that we've been having with this one.
In fact, I would say this one makes it that much more, at least for me.
Yeah, I don't really disagree with that. It's it's continuing the themes we've had, which is Superman trying to like convince the Warzones that they shouldn't believe in the worship of Mongol, that they shouldn't believe in the iron and the rest of it, that they had lives before they came here, or at least their predecessors had lives before they came here, and that they should want freedom and they should want these things. Opening scene, big battle is playing out in the arena, and Mongol comes out, and there's these two Philosians, brother and sister, who like Clark is talking about in his narration. He's talking about how they're there for each other, and these are exactly the sort of people that he's trying to reach. But they've been here a long time. They do buy into Mongol's teachings. They are kind of brainwashed. And when Mongol comes out, and the older sister's like, "Hey, look, we did good today. We earned some iron. We're proper Warzones, but like you." And he's like, "Well, if you're a Warzone, then kill your brother. As I killed my father. You kill your brother." And she's like, "Huh? I don't." And she's she's just stunned. And then he's like, "Well, you little boy, you kill your big sister." And they can't.
Her head.
Yeah, and they can't do it. So he goes to kill them, and Clark, jumps in and tries to protect them.
I love him. I see no Warzone. I see only two little grubs squirming in the sands of the arena.
So up to this point,
Matt, did you get vibes of the Vader down? I see only dead men.
I only see dead men. Yeah. I was gonna say up to this point, like yeah, we'd seen Mongol do some really messed up stuff, but he didn't feel like he was more like of a presence than a character, right? Here, though, he fully became like, I don't say the villain of the story because he is, but I can't wait to see Superman beat him now. Like, fully go with.
It neatly all goes back to that Future State issue when Superman was up in the chains, and he was kind of, and he was saying, "Hey, I will break you, Superman," and so on. And Superman's like, "No, I am going to win. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. I am going to take you down."
And in Superman's like narration, he talks about like this is going to be his biggest challenge yet, because on Warworld, kindness is cruelty and cruelty is kindness. That and because of that, he doesn't understand it, and because that's not how he thinks. And in order to change the way that they think about it, that's how he's going to end up defeating Mongol, right? He's going to have to change this entire culture from what they've learned, and that's why it's going to be his greatest challenge. And so, like, I like the undercurrent on this is the other Philosian that's talking to him that looks like from Game of Thrones, Ser Jorah, Ian Glenn. He's like, "You got to stop. You're giving him hope. That's the worst thing you can do here." And just to have Superman basically kind of look at him and go, "Well, as long as there's hope, we're gonna win." And just no matter what Superman looks at, he's gonna find a way to find that hope, because as long as there's hope, there's a chance.
This early scene where Mongol goes to kill these siblings and Superman jumps in and he fights Mongol. Like, Mongol's kind of laughing and smiling through some of this, because Superman's kind of proving his point to him is that he's making these people weak because he's there to protect them. So they're not strong. They're not. That's what that saying even means. That kindness is cruel and cruel is kind, because you're being cruel is kind because you're teaching people to be stronger, soft, to be able to fight back. Yeah.
Right.
And obviously it's like going against these teachings of exactly the sort of thing that he's going to have. But one of the things that's notable though is that the crowd start chanting for Superman, not by name. Superman sets this up in his narration earlier. There's a phrase, a Warzone phrase that basically means you have no blood on your weapon or sword or whatever.
It's a unblooded sword, and it's Balina Gal.
Yeah.
Which That is my new favorite Superman nickname.
I love all the linguistic stuff. It only occurred to me this issue, well, because we were talking about this,
Right.
this phrase that Warzone is. I'm assuming it's a play on Dragoon, and the blank faces mean you're not familiar. It was a type of soldier in like the 1700s.
Okay, I mean, yeah, why not? I just, why wouldn't it? Yeah, because it took me a couple issues to realize that a Warzone is an inhabitant of Warworld, and
But the idea of
right,
the way I'm seeing it now, having had that realization, is the implication being they're all soldiers. It's the warrior class. They're all meant to be this strong and meant to fight like that. Even the ones who are, they're all prisoners. They're maybe they're smiths, whatever. They're still expected to be soldiers at the end of the day because it's war world, right? That's the point,
right?
Yeah, but so they're chanting this phrase at Superman. The idea being that Superman, by standing up to Mongol, he is starting to convert enough people that there are some chants coming out in his support. And it's when what's his name here, the other little dude,
Chaitel.
Chaitel, thank you. Right, so when Mongols walking back out the arena, and you can sort of see the chants, and if you've seen Gladiator, a lot of this imagery is very familiar. Walking back in from the
even just a touch before we move on to this next part of the scene, the lettering on Superman, he's down, as they're chanting, and he's saying something to Mongol about how the people are going to be on my side ultimately. They're going to prove you wrong, but just because he's like he's completely out of it. He's been absolutely decimated by Mongol. The lettering with the squiggly bubbles and the words kind of just being like a little bit floaty. I think it just is fantastic, just in terms of the craft of it.
So Mongol comes in and Chaitel says, "Please, Lord, kill him. Can you see that there's already talk of rebellion around Warworld that you have to..." And he's like, "What? Make him a martyr? Are you a fool? Like, no, I'm not going to do that." And he does, it ties into some plot stuff because he says, "Look, I've got plans for United Planets, and that whatever those plans are, Superman needs to be alive." So it gives us a plot reason why, even if he gets angry at Superman, even if he is tempted to kill him because he's slighted at some point, there's a reason why he will still resist doing it, at least to a point. And that's good from a plot perspective because it gives us a reason, because there might be points in this story where we go, it feels like he probably should just try and kill him now. But there's a reason why he won't. So I think that's important to kind of mention and bring up. OMAC is trying to be conditioned and coerced into helping by basically with the promise that they can bring Light Ray back, which is, it's kind of this like emotional torture as opposed to some of the other torture that's going on around Warworld.
And maybe it'll work. We don't know yet.
It may, it leaves on a bit of a cliffhanger and just the emotion of the scene. I love the coloring change though when you go to that, because obviously it's all these harsh oranges and yellows in the first scene, and then you go to this scene and it's like just this blue glow of the light that Light Ray has been sort of this like force field or whatever it is that's holding her. It's good stuff. Really nice contrast. And then you go to the muted greens, the prison cells, and the cave system and all that.
I like how consistent these colors have been as well. That it's not just in this issue, but issue to issue is like, I don't know, the prison cells are these greens, the gladiator arenas are those oranges, and it's you can tell where you are in a scene, where a scene's taking place on Warworld now just by the coloring. Yeah.
And Clark's telling the siblings like, like your parents or whoever came here, your parents weren't warriors, they were scientists, they were explorers, and this was all about discovery and peace and all these different things, about truth and justice, right? He whips out the old Superman phrases, and everything Mongol's taught you is a lie, and it's kind of like he's trying to break through to them a little bit, and obviously they're distraught about what's happened that day, and there's even a point in this scene where one of them still says, "No, we're going to be good war zones," and it really sounds delusional at this point, given what Mongol tried to get them to do to each other, and then that Mongol was about to kill them. This idea that there's still part of them that's trying to impress Mongol is really sad, but the idea that Superman might be starting to break through a little bit. But that's when the other Philosian says, "Hey, like, trust me, I'll come and show you something." But just as he's leaving, the siblings, say Superman, and he turns around and they say truth and justice. And it's like maybe he's starting to break through to some people. Like the idea that he's showing them compassion, which is something again that's very alien to them in this place, but maybe the strength of it's starting to kind of come through in a way that it wasn't before.
I think my favorite part of that, you mentioned them saying truth and justice, is it's not as he's leaving. It's actually like the next scene. Essentially, it's times past because it says that night at the start of the page, and I like that more. The idea that they've been sat thinking on this all day, and the next time they see him, they were like, no, they made a point to say it to him then.
Yeah. It works in this way, like, even if it's not what they're consciously thinking about. This idea that they're giving him this little, if he's feeling in a bad place, if he's feeling like dragged down with the weight of this responsibility that he's not having an effect, the idea that them sort of showing that, hey, you actually did touch us in some way there, like it worked a little bit. Like that's almost a little bit of hope for him.
The reverse pep talk, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's nice. So yeah, we get to see some wonderful imagery. I love the 2-page spread of these giant worms that are beneath the cave system, which are making the atmosphere for everyone. They breathe out I assume oxygen's in there, but probably a number of things.
Whatever makes up the atmosphere, like you said.
Yeah. So I like these. I love that this has been set up because later on this might be very relevant. Actually, there's these giant worms down here that they might use for something. But Superman actually gets a little bit of his powers back from some of the rock down here, some of the walls, because it's like the that piece of rock that landed on Earth from before Warworld started.
Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis. And he actually hears his super hearing kind of kicks in a little bit again, and he hears something, and he's like, "Oh, we have to go back. Something bad's happening." And of course, we see some of the Warzone goons like coming after the siblings. Basically, at the end of the scene with Mongol earlier on, he said, "Look, we still have to punish Superman for his insolence." So the idea that he's coming after some of the other prisoners that he's grown more attached to, or that he seems to care about a little bit more. So we're setting up this threat and giving us this big cliffhanger here at the end where these siblings are in danger. So will Superman and the other dude get back in time to help them? Will someone else come?
I assume someone else is going to jump in. I'd like to think that's the
idea that he's inspired someone else to stick up for them.
Right.
Yeah,
but maybe that's the point, is no one does because he hasn't inspired them enough yet, because we're still relatively early in the journey.
Yeah, and obviously there is also a message earlier on about Midnight, or like he's going to go after the
Star Forges.
Yeah, the cores of the planet, which will crumble the whole thing. And Superman's like, no, we have to convince everyone. We have to break them out of this.
Because he told him specifically not to do that. Because
Midnight is a little shit.
You cheated on me when I specifically asked you not to.
Right, and so that's why
it's an office reference for anyone to take it.
That's why the Philosian dude. That's why he takes him down to show him the Genesis rock embedded. Because there's other ways, and it seems they give Superman a charge, right? Like, so that could most likely be important later on. But I also like here that Johnson's put Superman into a spot where he needs to not have powers to inspire, right? Because if he has his powers and just can fight Mongol back, it
won't solve that.
It's not going to solve anything because he has to show the people he's like them.
It's hitting a lot of beats of my favorite Superman story, which is Superman and the Legion.
Yeah. So it's this Philip Kennedy Johnson guy seems to really know what he's doing here.
Not too shabby, is he?
No.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this issue compared to the last one. The last one was a lot more. The last one was less plot in a weird way, and it was more about just kind of like how Clark's feeling in the cells, and it was showing you this ritual of like the last monster of this race dying and stuff like that. It was a lot more kind of like flavor stuff, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It was a really good issue. Whereas this one's a bit more straightforward plot, and okay, we're establishing characters that he cares about. We're establishing some of the different parts of Warworld that we can sort of use later, whether it be the worms, the Genesis rock, the light ray stuff, like all these other elements. Now it's starting to. This feels more like a traditional story in that sense. But without sacrificing any of the atmosphere. And part of that's because it still has big atmospheric moments like the giant worms, but part of it's also because, like you said, the coloring and the way it's all been done consistently with the previous couple issues is building this kind of tapestry that, like, it feels like a whole. This world feels like a whole because of that. And some of that is the art, some of that's how it's how it's been written. But
yeah, it's Lee Loughbridge on the colors, which I mentioned, 'cause been talking about a lot. I don't know if they were on it before Federici, but I'm going to assume maybe, because it feels, even though the colors are obviously different now to match Federici's style, the color palette and the rules have felt pretty consistent across those, so it could be the same.
Plus, I also like the idea that Federici came in as artist, and like his art is less, or I mean, I'm talking about more the colors, I suppose, but the color to match his art is less vibrant. It's more watercolory, and I think I like this idea that like some of the life is gone because they're in this kind of dire situation, you know, imprisoned with all these other slaves, and it kind of just fits the mood of where they are now. Whereas there was almost like a cockiness. And they're not cocky. I mean, not Superman wasn't cocky, but the team was definitely cocky, right? The rest of the team were like, oh, we're going to go in there and we're going to deal with this in one big blaze of glory because we're with Superman. Yeah,
the colors are mostly fairly flat in this now, naturalistic. The main exception being when there are like alien examples of light, like the cell tolerant Omak, or when Mongol does the beam from the chest. That's very, very vibrant. And those stand out against anything else in the issue.
Yeah, so, no, but coming back to just the idea of Superman having to inspire people around him that they are worth and they can fight for themselves is, pretty classic Superman style story. And it's nice that it's just getting this extended time to play out. So, no, really good stuff. Really good stuff. So I guess we'll rate the issue then. Matt, what are you giving Action Comics?
I'm going to give this one a 9.
Got it?
Yeah, it's a 9 from me.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the 9. Actions is on a hell of a run right now.